This is the best DreamWorks movie ever made. There, I said it. Yeah, that's no hyperbole. I literally legit mean that. This is not only an incredible animated movie, not only is it arguably one of the best sequels ever made, but yeah, I'd go so far as to say that it is the best movie that DreamWorks has ever done. Period. Why? Well, let me discuss in probably one of the most incredibly insanely positive reviews that you're going to see from me for the first time in a while. What's up? What's happening? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Animation Station. This is for anything and everything animation. Welcome back to our little Kung Fu Panda throwback marathon review series. Let's talk about Kung Fu Panda 2. This movie is amazing and incredible, and I will not at all understand anyone that says otherwise. Yes, it's your opinion, I get that, but just this movie has everything that you want. It is an incredible sequel to the first. It builds upon everything that the first did right. It removes all the flaws of the previous installment and manages to excel itself to heights that reach legendary status. Like, I'm not sure how I can put it into words, again, without spoilers. How freaking amazing this movie still is. But I still gave it my best shot. And my written review for this one is noticeably shorter than my last one because I didn't really add any extra backstory or box office numbers this time. I mainly wanted to put that emphasis on that first movie's review for that because of how much little faith people had in it when it first came out and when it was first announced. So, gonna hydrate and we're gonna dive in. And I'm going to tell you all about it. And I'm going to tell you exactly why, again, no spoilers, why Kung Fu Panda 2 is a masterpiece. Here's my written review. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm just going to say it flat out. Kung Fu Panda 2 is not only undoubtedly the best of the entire trilogy, but is also, in my humble and obviously subjective opinion, the best movie that DreamWorks has ever done. Better than Shrek 1, better than Shrek 2, better than the Dragons trilogy, better than Puss in Boots 2, better than The Bad Guys, better than Prince of Egypt, better than all of them. There's a reason why this is widely regarded as one of the best sequels of all time, and I can only hope in this review that I can do it justice and still keep out spoilers. In my opinion, this is a legendary movie with, in my opinion, again, entirely subjective here, you don't have to agree, but in my opinion, zero flaws. Literally zero. The animation is spectacular, especially the 2D scenes which felt reminiscent of old school DreamWorks. The story is incredible with a much darker edge and a lot more depth. The voice acting is outstanding with everyone delivering 110%, especially Gary Oldman as the villain, who is menacing and at times downright scary, even for a movie that's mainly aimed at kids. The writing is even stronger than the first film, with storytelling that's damn near Miyazaki level at times, and yes, that is no hyperbole. The humor is on par with Megamind and always got a laugh. Yes, even the scene with the dragon costume pooping out a guy. I mean, that joke shouldn't work, but it works. I can't explain how, it just works. Lord Shen is arguably the best villain in all of DreamWorks animation with a perfect balance of charisma and tyranny, and an absolutely awesome design. The tone switching is much improved from the original and no longer causes whiplash, as it's now very smooth when it transitions between, being able to be goofy and silly, as well as dark and emotional. And there's a perfect transition between each time it switches. It's no longer so, sudden. That's the word I was looking for, sudden. The tone itself is consistently great all throughout and is mostly much darker than the first. The Chinese mythology is still shown great respect and is arguably even more prevalent than it was in the first. The action is some of the greatest in all of animation. Yes, I did just say that. In all of animation. I will gladly die on that hill. Because the freaking fight scenes in this movie are amazing. with even better fight choreography. The tension all throughout is high, and it ramps up perfectly as the story escalates. The emotional scenes, especially Poe's backstory in particular, hits hard at the precise moments that it needs to. The characters are great, especially Poe himself once again, who goes through even more development as he discovers who he truly is and goes on the next step of his Dragon Warrior journey. The philosophical message of finding inner peace and coming to terms with the past is very adult for a family film and was perfectly delivered to its audience. The final battle is absolutely insane and even greater than it was in the first one, though I did hear one person online argue that it was too short. That's an understandable complaint, but in my opinion, if it did go on any longer, it could have ended up being drawn out. Just saying. There's always that risk. Personally, I think it worked perfectly. The runtime of only 80 minutes is perfect and doesn't overstay its welcome. Yes, this is a very short movie. The pacing is superb and never feels rushed. The world building is even greater than the original and expands the lore even more vastly. And the rewatchability is so high that it's up in the freaking stratosphere. Simply put, this is one of those rare occasions where I think it's absolutely perfect in pretty much every single way. This is one of those rare occurrences, Mutant Mayhem, the Miraculous movie, the Bad Guys, many, many others. This is one of those rare occurrences where I think the movie is perfect. Obviously, subjectively, because not all of us are going to agree, and that's okay, but in my opinion, this film's perfect. I literally have no issues or even little minor nitpicks with it at all. Kung Fu Panda 2 is an awesome sequel that builds upon the very solid foundation of its predecessor and takes far more risks to push itself even further. With a darker tone, stellar action, wonderful animation, outstanding storytelling, terrifying villain, incredible voice acting, sharp adult writing, and deep philosophical messages delivered perfectly, it is, in my opinion, one of the best animated movies of all time, and undeniably one of the best sequels ever made. Now, originally I was just going to give this a 10 out of 10, leave it at that. But this most recent rewatch, and not to mention I have expanded my score scale since then. I mean, you've seen, literally last year I literally had to make a new score because I felt like an 11 wasn't enough for the 3 movies at the top of my best list from last year. So, I did a little bit of thinking, and I came to the same conclusion. This movie belongs up there with all those other movies I gave my highest score possible to. The ones that broke the scale so much I literally had to make a new score for it. It is that good. It is that good and that amazing. Obviously, this is subjective. Not all of us are going to agree. But in my opinion, this deserves a final verdict no lower than a 12 out of 10. A masterpiece film, a masterpiece sequel, the best movie DreamWorks has ever done, one of the greatest sequels ever made, easily one of the best animated sequels ever made, and arguably, at least in my personal opinion, one of the best animated films ever made, period. I literally don't know what else I can say because, like I said, I'm trying to keep spoilers out of it as much as I want to really dive into it, but spoiler free. I'm going to keep it spoiler free to keep it consistent across all 3 of these reviews. So, not to mention I do spoiler free with most of my other movie reviews unless it's like a really, really bad one. Like mine too. Point is, this movie's amazing. If you haven't seen it yet, you need to. It's my highest recommendation possible, with the Anim Stat Green Heart seal of approval. Go watch this movie now. Rewatch this one, and then go straight into 2 with the highest of expectations, and I can promise you that you won't be disappointed. Well, that's pretty much going to be it as my computer tries to fall asleep because I'm talking so much. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this movie in the comments down below. And stay tuned because we do have one more to look over before we get to the new one, which that review is going to be late tomorrow because, yeah, that's when my theater showing is to see it. Sometimes I get earlier showings, sometimes I get later showings. This one's going to be a later showing. So I'm probably going to have to get that review out really late at night. So that's just your warning now. But before then, we do have one more to talk about. And it's one that I may or may not trigger some people on. What do I mean? Well, I'll tell you all about it next time when we dive into Kung Fu Panda 3. Oh boy, I'm going to make some enemies with that one. Well, see you in the next review.